up, everybody. Wake 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 up.
Hello, my name is Des'Tini LaGrone. I am a sophomore journalism major, minoring in Spanish at Hampton University. I am making this video to showcase my community, Ferguson, Missouri. During my first year of college, many people ask, is it safe? Is it dangerous? It's where I grew up. It's all I know. So, in this video, you will see CEOs and business owners and family members of Mike Brown reflecting upon Ferguson in the past year and how much the community has grown and come together. Right here behind me marks the 1-year anniversary of slaying Michael Brown in the streets right here of Ferguson near the Canfield Apartments.
My son Timothy is here. We wanted to stop by and see the spot where Michael Brown was shot. We hope that this is a good reflection to the fact that we know what our movement should be, and I'm just appreciative that we're here. I think it had a great impact upon the country. It has allowed us to focus, I think, in a very narrow way to the fact that we can now see as much as we can from the horizon that Michael Brown's death should not be in vain.
Mike Brown has affected me because he let me know that I was at least one police encounter away from dying at any moment. He let me know about the implicit attitudes of black males in America, and he let me know that just any time could be my last. So before I actually got to Ferguson, I thought it was very hood, very rowdy, just unruly. It seemed like police needed to be here, but it reminds me of back home, actually. It reminds me of where I live. Everything is nice and quiet. People know each other. It really doesn't seem like police need to ride around here as much as they do.
This is where Darren Wilson targeted Mike Brown. He chased him along the street right here.
The impact Michael Brown has left upon this country. Of course, police brutality has been going on for a while. People have been getting killed. Black people have been getting killed by police for a while. For example, Oscar Grant got killed in 2012, 2013, something like that. But Michael Brown, in this viral age, he sparked you could see everything that was going on while it was happening. You see his body just in the ground. You see how people were bringing dogs out for that. So with just the act, it would have been okay, but then following the week of protests and then violent responses by the police department and how they infringed upon people's constitutional rights, that kind of broadened the spectrum, made people realize what was going on, and then it brought attention to this very real idea that police are killing black people. And then you started focusing on that, and then you see more and more instances of this occurring, and then it becomes a national hot topic thing, and now we're here a year later. Now we're tracking every murder that's happened. I think it's up to 700 now, people killed by police this year. So this was the spark that expanded the entire movement to reform or revolutionize the justice system.
Michael Brown was my smaller little cousin. Michael, as a person, was a happy, friendly, joking, caring kid. He was very close with his family, very close with his friends, and you'll see from all the interviews of anyone who actually knew Michael that he was not a hostile kid. He was quiet, soft-spoken, friendly guy. The fact that Michael has left is to have the police brutality brought to the light, police basically going outside of the lines and abusing their power, and he's brought that to the light for not only here in St. Louis but around the world. What I would say to anyone who has not been to St. Louis, who's not familiar with it, it's not a hostile place. It is a friendly place to be. But just like any city, there are places that you do go to and places that you don't go to. This is a very friendly, safe environment. What I would say to people is that to come and see it for yourself, to see how people are warm, inviting, and receptive, but it's not a hostile community at all. But what occurred with Michael is something that has been going on in this community for far too long. And Michael's death caused attention to be drawn to what had been happening in the St. Louis area for decades, not only here in St. Louis, but around the world.
Wake up, everybody.
And I was going to just cover that billboard up with it and everything. Then there was another young artist. His name is Joey. And I had to think how you say his last name, but we'll just say Joey A. He was out there in Ferguson, and he's a graffiti artist. He's like, that was some poor graffiti, plus it was like negative, and we wanted a positive message. So we all got together and collaborated, and basically what then happened is we wanted to, have the issue of what was going on, and it was the thing at the time. So we designed the little thing together, and then Joey did his do on the artwork on the side of the wall there. And it was a very amazing night because he started like late in the afternoon and finished probably like 1 o'clock in the morning, where we put floodlights out there and people from the neighborhood was all together. Then we had little things with the cops rolling around and saying, yeah, but we don't need a permit, and being careful was like, okay, well, go patrol like you're supposed to and keep it safe. This is one of those community things, and we having a positive attitude also, off of the issue of Mike Brown. So basically we just wanted to put the message out there about what was going on.
Pretty much what she said, but in a nutshell, this to me, this area is a landmark of a lot of, this area pretty much is a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, black-owned entrepreneurs. So this landmark here, this was first started as a florist, and that was my father. And then they came across and came up with the idea of the Mike Brown. And a lot of people know this area. And to me, it just was bringing back to the community to start allowing, just for us to build our community up. And when that incident happened, which we didn't want it to happen, that pretty much brought a lot of communities together. So to me, it was a good idea. And it ended up being a great idea, so it's well known now. It's well known now, so it's easy for us to even say, because if we are the business here, all we have to say is a Mike Brown mural, and they say, "Oh, that's the place. Okay, we know exactly where you are." So, it ended up being it was a positive movement for us, but it ended up being positive for everybody. Yeah.
The Urban League has definitely heard the voice of the community and is adjusting our program specifically around employment. We have been finding African Americans others jobs for almost 100 years in the St. Louis region. But recently, after the Ferguson incidents transpired, we realized that we had to do more about young men, because we walked the streets of Ferguson and we asked them, what can we do? How can we help? And they all said, we need jobs. We need ways to take care of ourselves. We need jobs with a living wage. So we created the Save Our Sons program to specifically deal with young African-American male unemployment, and it already have found 100 individuals gainful employment through that process, and will continue it on in the years to come to try to be a part of curbing that epidemic. We have also begun and broken ground on the Urban League Community Empowerment Center of Ferguson at Ground Zero, where the Quick Trip was, so that we will have a presence right there at the footprint of what was transpiring every single day in terms of the protests and the anger and the rage, and try to turn that tragedy into a triumph by having a new facility to give back and make a difference and help change people's lives in the community.
Has definitely been affected. As soon as you say West Florissant, that's what they remember. They remember Ferguson happening on West Florissant. All our relatives from around the country have been calling to check on us and make sure everything is okay. And people just tried to avoid it. I went further northwest, and people have said that their business was definitely drastically affected by what was going on in Ferguson, and they're nowhere near Ferguson. So I remember a year ago that the protests were going on, and at night I was driving down the street, and I had my then 2-year-old granddaughter in the backseat and the sunroof open, and people were shaking our hands. It was white and black together protesting. You know, nobody was afraid. It wasn't a dangerous situation or anything like that. It was something that everybody was proud to be a part of.
My business really has not been affected. I'm not, my office is in Ferguson, but we do business throughout the metropolitan service area. There are those that have been affected though. The concern of safety is an issue. I do think that in the long term that it will have some impact on our business because the property values in Ferguson, I think they have been impacted, and I don't think we felt the full impact of that at this time.
Right behind me, located in downtown Ferguson, Missouri, is the police department, where protesters and the police force had an all-night standoff.
What I found was interesting when I got here is that there's a lot of people that really just love being here. And I guess I wasn't surprised, but again, I was pleased because you see the signs that says I love Ferguson, and people really do love Ferguson. The community is a nice looking community. I thought it would be a community that was in, you know, it would look pretty bad with respect to what has happened, but actually it's a lot of nice homes here. It's very peaceful. It's just this time of year things become challenging. And I know that the Brown family, they don't want for their son to be, you know, his unfortunate death to end in violence. I know they don't want that, and, but it really is. That's what was surprising to me is seeing how well the community looks, and it is a pretty good place to live. Now, on the other hand, I can tell you that it is divided in some places because you go in some areas where a lot of people that look like us. They're not real happy with the police department. They're not complaining about their neighbors, but they're complaining about the police department. And I think that the police department has got to do a better job here, but the community has got to let us do a better job too. They gotta let us, and that's not happening. Well, our future is really to embrace that community policing, which we think is the fundamental concepts of being good police officers out here. We need our police officers to be more familiar with the African American community, our community, and be out there walking and talking to people where there isn't the feeling that we can't get along. Because quite frankly, we can't. Whether you're black, white, Latino, woman, female, it doesn't matter. We all need to be working together and starting to embrace those community policing philosophies. People should peacefully demonstrate. Sometimes they should demonstrate maybe not as peaceful, in terms of just voicing your opinion. You gotta have an opinion. Sometimes people become pretty passionate, meaning they might yell. They may be pretty adamant about their position, and that's okay when you're passionate. You know, sometimes when there's a lot of people, they get out on the roadway. When they get out on the roadway, you have to think other folks have to, you know, they have to go to work. You know, they have to get up. Some people take their kids to school. You know, people, you know, maybe they want to go down to the local Walgreens or something, and they get in their car and they're like, oh, you know what, I can't get to the store because people have the roadway blocked. So we have to make some allowances to allow people to move to and from locations. But at the same time, when people are angry, we exemplify, at least during my time, as much patience as possible. So sometimes people are going to block the roadway. So when should the police officers, in my view, start to change their tactics? When individuals start committing crimes, violent crimes, especially when they start breaking windows and stealing. Because there are people that kind of hide among the protesters and they're actually going out and committing crimes. They look like protesters, they act like protesters, but they're really not there to protest, they're there to loot. Now that's just a small number of people. So when people start doing that, we got to change tactics.
I hope you all enjoyed this video and actually learned something from it. Work still needs to be done within the community. Police brutality is real, and black men are still being targeted every day. Thank you for watching.